Hello and welcome back to episode 4 of Mispelled Memoirs. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, we're on a roll. We're hopefully posting a lot of good content, a lot of fun topics talking about. We really vibe to the sports one. I didn't ask too much about
Yes.
ballet. I'm sorry, but
No, that's okay. Sports was such a good episode. It was good.
Yes. So we're doing a lot of planning. Hopefully, we enjoy our visuals, our background,
Yes, we've been
our
cooking up some
vibe.
designs. Yes.
Yes, the watercolor, the wave.
Mm-hmm. Follow us on Instagram, by the way, at Mispelled Memoirs with one S, and on YouTube at Mispelled Memoirs, also with one S.
And the misspelled.
Yes.
Oh, memoirs. That's why I cannot misspell.
Yes.
That's why I
That's
misspell
why
our
it's called
name.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So today we were talking about friendships, anything under that umbrella. We talked about sports. So we can start off with friendships in sports. I feel like maybe my friendships were maybe just like my sports teams, sports
Yes,
teammates, all that.
exactly. Literally thinking back to high school, I had no friends in high school because I was so involved in my sport. The only friends I had were in ballet.
That's so fun. But that was like after school, right? What about
Yeah.
like during school?
During school, okay, also my junior and senior year of high school, I took the last 2 periods free
Okay.
so I could leave before
That's
lunch
fun.
and then like have more time for ballet.
Yeah.
But then so I literally like had no friends because I just like had brunch.
Oh,
Like, girl, I would sit in the bathroom at brunch and like at
no.
brunch. Like that was
Oh my
me. That was
God.
me. I had no friends.
I mean, I would do that, especially junior and senior year, because I think our school, we had people who went off campus on their cars. And I kind of got cut from a group because they're like, oh, no more
Ooh.
space in the car. So I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to have to friend hop now. So
Hell
I told
no.
my friend, like,
Mm-mm.
okay, when you're in high school, friend hopping is the funnest thing you can do. Because
You see,
no strings
you
attached.
see, I didn't even get a chance to friend off. I clung to one friend, and then there was no
I know.
the emotional
you
and
need to,
the
like,
growth. Yeah,
explore.
the emotional intelligence growth I've been on is crazy. But
I think people say, like, honestly, I think senior year is your loneliest year. It
that's
really
facts.
is.
That's facts. Because like I remember, okay, freshman year. Also, like before I say this, I feel like the reason I didn't have friends was because I wasn't a good friend. Like I didn't know how to be a good friend or like what that meant. And yeah, and I also a lot of things, but I think that was the main thing. I didn't know how to be a good friend,
Yeah,
so
I hear that a
I
lot.
wasn't a
I
good
think
friend.
I watched a lot of videos. 'Cause I think I was just like, oh my God, like, how do I get cut out from these friend groups? These people are so toxic. And then my best friend, she was like, oh yeah, cut them off. Like, I hate them too. And then I saw them later, and then she's like, oh, I hate them. And I'm like, okay, I'm like over it, right? She's younger than me, like, so I'm like, love that she's there for me. But I'm like, at some point you get over it. But I think I saw a video that was just like one of those Reddit videos with like the Subway Surfers, and then it was like, when you're with your therapist, what's the big like light bulb moment? And then he was like, the guy was talking about like how he didn't have friends, and then the therapist was like, okay, tell me something about your friend. He's like, oh, this friend likes cars or whatever, and they said, what else? And then he was like, that's the question that made him realize like he knew nothing else about his friends, and then he wasn't trying to be like obviously like the most invested, but then I think like sometimes I feel like, I don't know, maybe overbearing or just like clingy. So I'm a huge texter. And people start texting me, I'm like,
See,
oh my God.
I'm like not a texter at all. Like, I can't. But I used to be though. I
Uh-huh.
used to be, but I feel like mm, I used to be like such an anxious friend, and that's low key like why I wasn't a good friend because I didn't have the confidence in myself to like know how to reach out to people
Yeah.
or know how to like okay, like not to be like cliche, but like know how to love people in that way.
No, I
Like,
get
know how
that
to love
because
friends,
I definitely like I feel that because I'm like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm very awkward in situations where if
Mm.
people like I was like, oh, like I want to feel like a friend that someone can like feel comfort around, but if
Yes.
someone's like next to me and like I feel awkward, like
Yes.
like you have to teach yourself to learn to be more like not
Yeah.
sympathetic because maybe it is sympathy,
Mhm.
but just like connecting.
Like learn how. I think the main thing is being exactly like learning how to connect was for me like learning how to listen. Like I didn't know how to listen.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to like appreciate people. Because I was like focusing on myself the whole time. Like I was thinking like, or I think the main thing was really that I was trying to prove to. I was so insecure in myself. I was trying really hard to prove to other people that I was a good friend, that I was a perfect friend, that
Yeah.
could be there, and like instead of focusing on the other person, that was so actually very selfish of me because I was focusing on myself.
Yeah, I think that's what I
You know?
found. Like that's what I think. Like when you're in elementary, like I think I had the like biggest group of friends in elementary and middle school, and then high school. Like everyone became the same like friend group, but then after like 2 months, everyone just like split. Because like
Yep.
they say like the biggest girl groups are like the most toxic or whatever and all that, but I mean it was fun while it lasted. But you think like you want more when you get older, you realize you want more like connections, I guess, like more one-to-one personal connections.
Exactly. It's not about being a part of a group. It's about
Mm-hmm.
the individual people that you get to
Yes, because
get
there's weird like
to appreciate.
dynamics, hierarchy in groups.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely
I
not.
know, but I'm like, I think I was like, oh, I didn't like in high school. Oh, I didn't get invited to parties and all that. I'm like, oh, that's so sad because we both talked about like we didn't go to dances at all.
Literally not a single one. Okay, also I graduated during COVID. So I didn't even get a prom. I didn't
Yeah.
get anything.
I think mine was like half of it was like strict parents, and half of me was just being like using that kind of as an excuse, just being like, oh, they wouldn't let me go
Yeah.
anyways. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm like, I kind of, but now, like, I was like, I kind of use that as another excuse now. Like, oh, I didn't go to these things. So now I'm like socially insecure or socially awkward now. But it's just like, I think, I think college was like a nice to refresh, like restart button. Because restart, then you're just like, oh, I need friends.
Exactly. Like restart, refresh. Like you don't have to be the old person that you were anymore. Like not that you have
Yeah.
to reinvent yourself, but like you can
Like
have
meet new people.
meet
It's
new
not.
people.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like elementary. Like you knew these people for
Mhm.
5, 10 years growing up, and you're just like,
Exactly.
it's kind of awkward now. It's
Exactly.
like,
Like
what's there to talk
yeah.
about?
Like nobody knows you. So then in a sense you're like starting fresh, and it's like
Yeah.
refreshing.
Yeah, and then you have to like put yourself out there. It's just like
Exactly.
in classes, like all of that. I don't know where I was
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. But how has it been for you, like in community college, making friends? Like, yeah, like your first semester or second semester now, has it been difficult or same as high school? Like, what's it been like for
I
you?
think it's been a lot better for me because I think I realized like I had that refresh button. It was like I think last semester I was like obviously I said like the high school burnout and all that. So I'm like, but I think over the summer I took a chemistry class and then these these people are like reaching out to me, like my partner next to me, and then we were like talking the whole summer and it was so fun. And then I was just like I call these like older, not older, but like I was fresh off the boat, I want to say, new to college, right after high school. So I was like, okay, I was like, oh, their mother, like they're so fun as like just chemistry partners. So that was fun. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make more of like time to reach out to people rather than just being like, oh, what's the answer to this question? Taking more time and effort in other people.
Exactly. I feel the same. Like my first semester, because I started community college in January. My first semester was okay. Also, because when I was in high school, I was dancing the whole time, so I didn't. I was not like active in school at all because I was so invested.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know how to be an active like member of the community or how to like create community. And like my
Yeah.
parents are very introverted. They never really had friends. So then my first semester it started in January, so I already felt like all the clubs had been established. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
really join any. And I didn't really know how to join clubs. Like, I didn't know. I thought like I literally thought that only people who don't know how to make friends go to clubs.
Oh
Like
my
literally, I
god.
thought that. So then I was like sitting here like, and also okay, and then also we like moved. So I like haven't lived in this area before. So I was sitting there like having no friends from high school, like no friends in community college, like trying to reach out in my
Yeah.
classes, and it was hard because I mean you're in class, like it's just not a good like
Yeah.
timing. So that was really hard in like the first semester, honestly. And then I gained some. I worked over the summer. I gained some social confidence.
Very good.
And then
Work's
I
the best place.
literally. And then I came back when we started in the fall 2023, and then I was like, hey, why do I have this belief that clubs are like for people who like
I
that's such a
know,
silly
no, because
belief.
it's so just like what my brother says, like self-inflicted wounds. Like you're just putting that on
Exactly.
yourself, and you just keep thinking these things. Like you cringe yourself out. Like you keep these things away from you, but you realize
Exactly. I thought
like who's judging you,
yeah, exactly.
or like who's keeping you accountable.
Like why did I think that was cringe? Like I've met some of like my best friends in the club, in community college, in the clubs, and like being there, like learning about the like stuff that we get to learn about and talk about has been like so fulfilling. But anyway, so then finally, then I feel like I started to really develop community when I got involved in the clubs, like one person at a time.
Yes.
So it's been really valuable.
Joining clubs, very fun. Just putting yourself out there. We met through
and
Honors
we met
Club.
through Honors Club.
I think we met before that for stats. I think like the 2 days right before.
2 days before.
And
I was nervous in that class.
Because you moved like right. I was like, I came like at the very end, so I was in the back. Yeah. And then I saw you in the corner.
I was in the corner.
And then you came like near me, so we talked like very briefly. Yeah. But I think if we met like through stats, like I wouldn't put the effort. But if we saw like honors, we were like, oh, I remember you from the class, and then we talked more. Exactly. It was really podcasting. Yeah, the idea.
I remember like when I first heard that you were starting a podcast, I got like so excited.
Oh my god. Yeah. I know. So hopefully we're trying to make more podcasts. Yeah. But podcast is just like such a fun way because they think like when we have these, when we're meeting and all that, we're both like maybe some like business stuff, whatever, working on branding. But it's like a nice time to just like relax, and just have a talk.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's like not really a space to do that sometimes with people, but or like maybe they don't want to talk about, like I don't want to impose.
I think it's more so just like people think it's like, I used to think it was like a waste of time going to clubs because it's like, oh, it's social clubs, like I can just be doing homework, whatever. But it really like taking the effort to go. Like sometimes I just wouldn't be on campus, whatever, or you do it just for the extracurricular. So people have like Zooms or whatever. But I like this. One of the people that I would work with, he said that he takes time to go to like a social group, and he said it's very good because he said like he said he's not interested in small talk, and he said it's good to like go deep in conversation, have like meaningful conversations with people.
Exactly. And like we're all human, like community and like social connection is so important for your well-being. Yeah. And I also feel like I'm more productive too when I'm like, ironically, I'm more productive when I'm spending more time around people because then I feel like fulfilled and like I don't know, like socially connected. Yeah. Versus like when I don't have that, then I feel like depressed and
then you keep so many things to yourself. Exactly. It's just like even just like a small, like obviously people say small talk isn't like great talk, but even just having some connection during the day.
Exactly. Speaking of small talk, I know I'm sorry, I'm
no, you're good.
I used to think like small talk, God, it's so stupid. Like I don't want to make small talk with anyone, and I think like yes to an extent, but I saw this quote from somewhere or someone. Maybe I saw it on TikTok. I don't know. Someone said something about how small talk is like a ritual that like you have to do. Like it's something we have to do to like get to know people better before we can start to get deep. And then when I started to look at small talk that way, then I found it so much easier to get past the small talk. Like for example, I know like everyone thinks, you know, like the typical college conversation, like, oh, what's your major? Yeah. What do you want to do?
No, that's why I say like icebreakers. Icebreakers are like the best activities. People say they're so corny. But you need to like just get over the hump.
You gotta get over the hump. They're corny, but that's how you get through it. You know, it's always awkward at first, and like embracing the awkwardness.
Yeah, but you can't start at like step like 100. You need to like first break the ice.
Exactly.
That's why I like Psych Club, because you guys have like a lot of discussions and all that. So I'm like, it's not even my major, but just like the fact that I like put myself out there, just meeting these kids, and they're signing up for my club too. So I'm like, it's great connections.
Exactly, connections. You see, we get back to this connection. It's so important. Yeah, so important.
The wave.
The wave.
The wave of life. I don't know. The wave of conversation.
And I think like you find a lot of the same people like go to different clubs, which is great because then you can slowly start to build like a more connected community. Yeah. Like, oh, this person likes this, and I like this, and then you can become connected in that way, which is really a great way.
I know. I think I used to think like I wish I had like before I was like, oh, I was in a big group, so I'm like I got over that, but I think like I used to be like, I don't know, more of like the background person in the group. So I'm like, okay, like these people like doing their own thing. I'm gonna start group hopping to these people. So I wasn't like the most prominent person in the group. Like
Mhm.
I didn't think I was invited to like these like things because it was like their group thing. And so I was like, I was a guest member.
Oh my
It wasn't like
gosh.
a guest appearance. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I kind of got over it. So I spent more of my time in like sports, whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'm busy anyways. And then
Yeah.
now I'm just like, okay, making the time, making like more plans. I don't know. I kind of do still like the group hopping like approach.
Mhm.
I don't know in high school what I would say to like give advice. I like group hopping, but I think I saw a lot of people like either have like two friends, like just one friend. That's kind of what I kind of sometimes went back to.
Mhm.
But I don't want to think of them as like last resort, one friend. I'm just like, it's kind of mean to say, but
That's quite. I was gonna like that's
I
low-key.
know.
Yeah, I think like in my experience, when I'm involved in like groups or
Hmm.
like things like that, then it gets very complex and like kind of
Yeah.
messy. I don't know, and then you lose like the relationships you have with the individual people, and then it's like, especially if it's like a toxic group or like people,
Yeah.
maybe not even toxic is the right word, but like people who like don't have that emotional maturity yet. It's just like exhausting to be
Hmm.
involved. So I just like always like when I sense that, I distance myself immediately.
Hmm.
I can't because it's like wasting so much time and like stress, and
Hmm.
I'd rather just make friendships with individuals. And also in
Yeah.
college, like people aren't, I don't know about you, but I haven't found that many groups like or
Yeah.
people are more like individuals, like doing their own thing.
Hmm. I think when I first came here, I saw people like walking around with friends. I was like, oh my god, I wish like I need to start having friends to walk around in college with.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, it feels like weird when you see like all these people. But I think in college, it's like you see like the whole thing about like hammocks, people studying under trees. It's a lot more independent.
Mm-hmm.
You think like maybe people eating alone might be like sad, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's just like you
I
taking a
love eating
breathing.
alone, like
Yeah.
my peace. I
But
love
in
my
high school,
peace.
that's sad.
Yeah, that's true. Like I
Hmm.
was thinking about that earlier. Like now in college, like I love being alone, I love walking alone.
Hmm.
But when I was in high school, that was such an embarrassing
I know,
thing.
because it's just like you can't keep to yourself, so everyone would be like on their phone, headphones, and all that. So just like either we're like isolated or too glued to our phones, or just have no friends. But in
Exactly.
college, it's just like you're taking like your inner peace and all that.
Exactly. And it's also like I'm secure in myself enough that I don't need to have someone all the
Yeah,
time with me. Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Very nice. What about like first impressions with friend groups and all that?
Hmm. I feel like first impressions are hard because often, like, first impression is you're not meeting the real people, you're meeting their like representative.
Yeah.
So I don't know. First impressions, I try like not to take them too seriously because like
Hmm.
you never know.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
I think class
Yeah.
is a decent representation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But our class is hard. So I'm like, okay, I wanted to talk to you in class, but it's just like we have to listen the whole time. So
Yeah.
in class doesn't really represent our friendship.
No.
Our class, we're both just like silent. We're both work
Yeah.
mode looking at the computer.
Silent. Yeah. Also, like I don't want to be rude to our
Yeah,
professor.
yeah,
Like us like
I
talking all the
know.
time while they're trying to
Yeah.
teach. It's like
So we
why?
find like little moments. Or just
Yeah.
like this is a nice like breather right before class, preparing ourselves
Exactly.
for
Exactly.
class.
Or like we have like a break, then we can enjoy our break. But
Yeah.
yeah. I wanted to ask something that came up earlier. Um, what was your experience like? Being like the like as you said like the not the main
Not the
friend. Like
main
what
friend.
do you mean by that? Like how was that for
I
you?
think so. I kind of, maybe I did kind of ditch my friend group, but I felt like it was like new people coming in and all that. So I'm like, I didn't like, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, I didn't like this person, so I wanted a new friend group. My friend from like one of my personal friends, family, very close friends from childhood, like moved to my school. So like that day I dropped everything, went to her and
Mm-hmm.
all that. And then after like sophomore year, it was like COVID and all that. We came back. And then junior
Wait, sorry to
year,
interrupt. When was COVID? When you were
my
a sophomore?
sophomore
Okay.
year,
Okay.
yeah, and then junior year was like the whole full year back. Yeah, and that was crazy. But junior year, like I think everyone took more time. Actually, junior year was tough. Like right after COVID, that was your first year
Yeah.
in
Oh my
college.
gosh.
Everyone like brought their laptops to school. So I'm like, oh, it's a social thing. Like, oh, it's the social media thing where everyone's just like glued to their stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
But during lunch, it was fine. It's more of a breather. So I stuck with my friend group mostly for junior year. Senior year is when I kind of got ditched. But I think that's part of me feeling like I didn't really take the time to be with their friends. So I kind of treat them like an option and just show up whenever. So I'm like, it makes sense that I wasn't invited to these like personal things. But then I kind of took that as like, oh, okay, I need to invest my time on something else. So I just like immediately next thing for pop.
And did you find like after COVID was, I mean, I found this, but maybe my perspective is limited. Like, did you find that people were more like shy, or like people were like less sociable from like freshman year to like junior year because they had that like huge gap?
Yeah, definitely. I think
What was that like?
a lot more people wanted to be social, but it was just hard to bring them out of that shell. Freshman year was so fun when I look back at it, because I'm like completing sophomore and junior. Senior year is like your loneliest year, because it's tough when you're dealing with so much mental stuff, but you don't want to admit it. If you don't want to go to help, like I didn't take the steps to go out, try to find more resources, or it's just like everyone's just like secluded. Everyone's like, oh, I got stuff to do, I got extracurriculars, I got college apps. So it's just like the time you take during class. Like I wish I took more time just in class, just goof off, just talk about different topics and all that, because you realize like those are the best moments.
Yeah, I know. I have like memories from like freshman year, sophomore year, like with like I had one friend, we like, okay, this is so like 16-year-old, but so like don't judge me, but we like ate like frozen broccoli, something like that, and like
cute,
like threw like ice cubes off the roof like of the school, like things like that, or like eating like hot Cheetos and like in like with chopsticks in like English class, something like that. Like those were fun moments. And,
or like the random people who just like goof up next to you and you just laugh at because like what they're doing, because they're just like enjoying the moment.
Exactly. And then with COVID, that was disrupted.
I know, because I think like now I think I'm kind of old school when I say this. Like I like middle schoolers should probably not have phones like during school, because like it really does. Like
it absolutely, we were lucky. Does, yeah, I was I don't know why, for some reason my middle school, they bought all of us, or like they forced us all to get iPads. So we all had every single sixth grader had an iPad.
Wow,
like it was not good for us. We were like, playing games in math class. Like
that's funny though. Like just playing, because my school like senior year they banned like all the games. Like so each time, and then they like Go Guardian, right? And they could like control our computers and all that. So people would start bringing their own personal stuff and all that. But like I don't think I told you this, but I didn't have a phone until junior year of high school.
Really?
And then I also avoid just like I don't have any social media. I told you this.
And that's a good thing though.
Yeah, but I think that was like kind of with like the social hierarchy thing. Like I don't think like I think at some point I was just like, oh, I won't get followers. Like I don't want to think about that stuff. Like I don't want to think about like ratios, followers, who's following me back, who's not posting, and all that.
It's exhausting. Yeah, and also I'm like I saw this somewhere once, like literally if I didn't, for example, like Instagram, if I didn't have Instagram, like these people from like high school that I barely talked to, like I would forget they exist. But now because they pop up on my Instagram feed, like I remember them.
I know. Like if you reconnect with high school friends, I did last winter. And then we're talking like all of them, all we just talk about is like how people are doing at different like colleges and all that. But most of them are like, oh yeah, like before I was like, you're in such like a huge group, because I was talking to my teammates and I'm like, you're in such a huge group, like you're not friends with this person. It's like, no, we don't really talk anymore. It's mostly just like these two people.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like at the end of the day, like those people who do, like when you do find people who like appreciate you and who like do I mean, I think it's rare, like honestly, who do listen, then like you're like after high school or after college, like you're like ride or die, like you're very close. Yeah, I think that's definitely so valuable.
That's definitely what you want to look for, and you'd hope for the best. Like my friends, like I mostly grew up obviously sports friends, and then a lot of childhood friends who like went to different schools and all that. So my friend always tells me like people will be at my wedding. She's like only like 2 people from my high school, and then just like everyone else. She was just like the people that like high school, like you think it's kind of selfish, or you think like people are toxic or whatever, but everyone has their own things that they're dealing with. So it's hard to have like these ride or die friends.
Yeah, exactly. Like, high school's a hard time. Yeah. And I wish, okay, after I took like my intro psychology class, so keep in mind, take this information with a grain of salt. But I wish that we had more like education when we were in high school about how our brains were developing, because like in terms of that thing, like in terms of friendships, in terms of like our own thinking. Yeah. Like I look back and I see now how like my views on like friendships or life or work or whatever was quite limited. Yeah. But also because I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So
like you're going through so much.
Yeah, you're going through so
stuff.
many changes, like hormonal changes, brain changes. I wish that we had some kind of education so I could understand myself better.
Yeah, it's really just the social media. I think during that time, my senior, everyone's like cut off.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, because it's really like it's hard to think like you can't really be selfish and expect people to do these things, and it's also like obviously people have their own things, but you want to put like time and effort and just like hope for the best.
Exactly.
Like not everyone's like a bad guy if they can't make this thing or whatever. But if people are like obviously like I think it's like a lot of self love, just like knowing like putting up your boundaries if people are mistreating you, obviously that. But I think most people like me, I took that to extreme. Like, oh, this person like didn't want to hang out this way. They canceled last second. I'm like, next.
Yeah. But I think that's a good thing to keep it like to know that like people always have their own like stuff going on behind the background. And something I realized too, like me as well, like for example, sometimes the things that like really make me angry about friends now, for example, or things that not even about friends but just in general, like when something annoys me in my daily life, I realized often it's something that's like stems like way back, like from when I was in high school. Then this thing happened with a friend, so it reminds me of that. Or like then when I was in elementary school, this thing happened with a friend. So me too, like I'm often projecting onto people, and then that's like, but like when you realize that, that makes life so much more peaceful because you realize, oh, actually everyone is projecting. So actually, when someone does something, it's often not about me. And I don't know, I feel like that's helped me to be more confident in myself, like love myself more and not take everything so seriously.
I think I said it like in sports. I told you, right? Sports, I was like, I think I'm mostly introverted at sports. I'm like the loudest person on the court. So I'm like, that helped me the most, obviously, be social.
That's a good I feel like that's such a good thing. Like getting out of your shell, sports
I mean, I think I was so passionate about the sports and just willing to like spread as much information I could to anyone else. So like I'm giving them tips and all that. I'm like, run this way, like I'll get you, I got you.
Exactly. And, like that sense of camaraderie is so valuable.
Community. It's just it's like it's so hard, especially with like groups and all that. I think it's different with like obviously you said like group sports, individual sports. With ballet, it's like a community.
Exactly. And I think like at a lot of like high level ballet schools, you can be like super competitive, and like people. I mean, you hear stories like girls putting glass in other girls' point shoes. But like I was so lucky at my ballet school. Like we, like looking back, like it's amazing. Like I think in general, like we were all super supportive of one another. Like we never really had any like disagreements in that way.
I think
maybe because ballet was so hard, so we kind of like stuck together like trauma bond. But yeah, I think I was really lucky about that. Like how was I know we should like wrap up the episode, but like how was for you like your relationships with the girls in basketball?
I think it was good because I said that obviously I was voted captain sophomore year and people thought I was like a role model being like almost young, but it was more just trying to build community with everyone and like protect them from my coach. But then I think at like junior year it kind of got to me where I wasn't really projecting, but I think it was more so like the coach's words getting to me and I was like, oh, the coach is going to say this, this, and this. And I think junior year I might have taken it out on like my teammates, not taken it out more internally where I thought like different of them. I'm like, oh, this person's like making me look bad because this coach is doing this and whatever. So I kind of brought that on myself. But then senior year, I'm just like, whatever happens, happens. Like I can't control him or what he does. Like only how I perform, only how I'm around my teammates. So I got a lot better about it senior year.
That's good. Yeah.
But I think if we're gonna wrap up, one thing you said, I think I remember. We said like, okay, like high school, like the people you go with, like everyone kind of just forgets, or like you only keep your tabs on them online. Back to Spider-Man again. Tom Holland said this quote on Jay Shetty podcast. I don't know if you watch him on YouTube, but he said that he said something about like he went on a hiatus, and then he said that he talked about like haters commenting, and he said that if you know me well enough, you'll text me. Otherwise, like your opinion of me doesn't matter. So he said like the people who are most like personal in connection to him. I said that kind of wrong, but kind of restated what he said.
Yeah, that's so true. Like social media,
Yeah, if you know me well enough, you'll text me. Otherwise, like
Exactly.
your opinion of me doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, maybe that's you don't know me well enough. Your opinion of me doesn't matter, or like you're. That's kind of harsh to say. Like you're not important enough to be in my phone, but obviously taking steps to like contact this person regularly, whatever.
But it's true though. I mean, social media is like a facade. So yeah, I think it makes us think a lot more about the opinions of others, but really the only opinions that should matter is our own opinions.
Especially like you said, like we should have taken psychology, learn more about like dynamics, because at that point it was only social media teaching us about relationships.
Exactly.
And then people are like, oh, obviously I think that's during the time when like icks came out. You know how that's a thing now. People are like, oh, people are like, girls are like red flags, green flags, icks and all that. So like I think that's kind of the media now. People are taking too much in, but if you're like, more people should take a break from social media, not use that as your only source of information. Absolutely. Make personal connections, small talk.
Yes, small talk.
Small talk's the best.
You gotta get over the hump.
Yeah, you get the icebreakers. Icebreakers are your favorite activity. Your best friend.
Push through the awkward. Embrace the awkward.
Yeah, and then senior year might be lonely, but group hopping's always an option. This is bad advice.
I can't stand behind that one. I'm sorry.
Hey, it worked out. It worked out a little bit. I mean, it feels good in the moment, but at some point you realize, like, maybe I'm not the best of friends. So learn more about personal connections and all that. Definitely online can be a resource, but
I feel like
look more into like psychologists, therapists. Yes, people who like study these.
All right. Peace out.
Thank you for tuning in.
See you next time.